Hello class, today we're going to look at the whole concept of globalization. So what is globalization? Basically looking at is the shift towards a more integrated and interdependent world economy. What does that mean? I always give the example of bananas. We eat bananas year round. However, in our country, we cannot grow bananas year round. We basically trade with other countries that grow them, like South America. So when it's wintertime in the United States, we are able to trade with countries where it's not cold and it's still hot and they're able to grow bananas. So we somewhat depend on those other countries for bananas to be sold in our country year round. That's interdependent. Um, so you're looking at economic globalization. It's a global interdependence of business created through multinational companies, the availability of worldwide communications, and a capability to travel quickly anywhere in the world. Your generation particularly, when you guys get an education and you go out and get a job, you no longer will be competing just against Americans. You're going to be competing against people around the whole entire world, because now companies are starting to branch off and not only open in the United States, but they are opening in Europe, in Asia, in Mexico, in South America, and they're also hiring people that can speak multiple languages than just one language, because we are becoming a more global economy because of technology. Now you can email someone in China in 5 minutes and they get it right away. Um, and we'll talk later on in the PowerPoint or the presentation about how technology has contributed to the whole concept of globalization. So let's look at international trade. Why? And this is where you need to look at your notes. Why do we have to trade? And it's in red. Scarcity leads to the necessity for trade. Scarcity means we don't have enough of something. The reason why we have to balance our bills every month is because we don't have enough money to pay for all our bills. And so that's the whole concept of scarcity. Looking at oil. We have to go to the Middle East to get oil because we don't want to use all our oil in the United States and run out of it, but we don't have enough to supply all the cars that we have in the United States, so we have to go to the Middle East to use their oil. So scarcity causes us to trade with other countries because we just don't have enough of that product in our country, and vice versa. They may not have a certain product that we have in the United States that causes them to want to trade with us. So when you're trading with other countries, you want to have what is called a favorable balance of trade. We want to trade more of the stuff that we make in the United States than purchase from outside the country. So if you think about it, what country do we mainly get a lot of our products from? I'll give y'all a minute to think about it. If somebody wants to raise their hand, volunteer the answer to the substitute, that's fine. I'll wait. If you guys said China, then you guys are correct. China has a growing economy because their products are cheap. Other countries are buying their products to sell in their countries. The United States being one of those countries. So a lot of you guys might have products that you purchase from China on right now. So when a country is exporting more than it is importing, meaning that they're sending out more product than they're bringing in from other countries, then they have a favorable balance of trade. And I can say China has that right now. An unfavorable balance of trade is when a country is importing more than it's exporting. And sometimes the United States have done that. We have imported more from other countries than what we have exported of our products, which brings our economy down. That's why some people will say, I only buy American made goods. I'm only going to support America's economy by buying American products. So, looking at international trade, there are some terms that I want you to know. Tariffs are taxes placed on imported goods. So if you look at foreign-made cars, they cost more than American-made cars, because when we bring foreign-made cars over to our country, like Toyota, the American government still wants Americans to buy American-made cars. So how do they do that? They add price, or they add the cost in these foreign-made cars So that's why Toyotas, anything that comes from overseas that are made overseas, those types of cars, Mitsubishi, cost more than an American-made car because tariffs have been added to those foreign-made cars. So it's taxes placed on imported goods. So remember, anything that comes in our country is called imported. Anything that leaves our country is called exported. In order for us to trade with a country, we have to have a good relationship with that country. And a lot of times we have what is called treaties. So it's a formal agreement between nations. Right now, we don't trade with Cuba because we don't have a good relationship with Cuba and we don't have a treaty set up with them. Um, Embargo. If one thing about trade is several countries need to trade to make money in their country. So let's say, like Saddam Hussein in the first Desert Storm War, he basically went into Kuwait and invaded it, and we got involved. We pushed Saddam Hussein back. Part of his punishment from the United Nations was embargo, and it's basically punishment against a country that prevents another country from trading with it. So no countries would trade with Saddam Hussein for a long period of time, which hurt his economy. It was used as a form of punishment. That's how important trade is. So tariffs. How can tariffs help protect U.S. companies from international competition? They raise the prices of foreign goods because of the higher cost to import. Example, the foreign-made cars. So type of countries to trade with. We are considered a developed country because we have greater wealth, we have a higher standard of living, we have a stable government, there's several economic opportunities in our country, and we're technologically advanced. Compared to an underdeveloped country, they have low average incomes, low human capital, they depend on foreign aid for help, and they are politically unstable. And there are some third world countries in Africa, in the Middle East, even in South America. There are some third world countries, but we are a developed country, so I guess we would be considered a first world country. So globalization of production, just to give you an example, let's say Vizio flat panel TV is designed in a small office in California. However, it is assembled in Mexico, um, and we get from the panels are made in South Korea, the electronic components are made in China, and the microprocessors were made in the US. So this flat panel TV has basically is a good representation of globalization and this whole interdependent, how each country depends on each other, because this TV would not have been able to be made if all these various countries didn't work together, as far as the panels coming from South Korea, the microprocessors coming from the United States. So I already mentioned the role of technology. It is lowering of trade barriers, make globalization possible. Technology has made it a transforming movement. It's just easier for us to communicate with other people in other countries. It's easier for us to trade. It's just basically knocked down the walls of communication. And this chart just shows the internet usage growth from 1990 to 2003. That doesn't even include internet growth from 2003 to 2015 to present day. Now, a lot of people are using their cell phones for internet usage. Internet usage is, I mean, look at Wake County Public Schools. Now kids are being allowed to have phones during lunch just because of the amount of, just because of the access that we have now to the internet and technology. So there has been an emergence of global institutions to help with, relationships between us and other countries and countries throughout the world, and also make sure that trading is fair. Notable global institutions include the World Trade Organization. It establishes rules for international trade and resolves disputes between member nations. The European Union, it's a trading union of 25 European nations that want to create a unified economy on a regional level. So this is Europe, like Germany, Great Britain, Austria. They are all part of the European Union, and they use one form of currency to trade with each other and to pay for the products that they receive from each other. But it's only in the European countries that are members to this organization. The World Banks, Helps developing nations provide financing and counsel to improve their economy. Then you have the United Nations, which was created after World War II. It's the international diplomatic body that deals with world issues, and its headquarters just so happen to be in New York City. But remember, it's from the whole entire world as far as where the membership comes from. And last but not least is the North American Free Trade Agreement, and this is actually dealing with the United States, where it lowered trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, meaning their tariffs do not exist between the three countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Anything we get from Mexico, we do not up the price of it by adding tariffs to it. And so this is just an introduction to globalization. You will talk about globalization more next year, and when you get into high school, you will be having a quiz come up on human rights and globalization, and you'll be working on globalization this whole entire week to understand more about it, and that is it. Thank you.